Jimmy. Jimmy. Jim James, son.
One thing I have neglected to do over my entire ownership of this car is change the oil. I'm not sure how I forgot about that. I guess when I first got it, I checked the oil and it was pretty clean, more or less. So let's get to changing that stinky old oil. We got the original oil filter here. There's the number for those of you wondering. 1.8 liter motor. 5-way 30 conventional motor oil, not synthetic blend, conventional. Do not use synthetic in these vehicles. You will regret it. And we're gonna go ahead and get the 14mm bolt off of the oil pan. Notice how the vehicle doesn't leak anything. I've been driving it this whole time and haven't seen one drip. Very, very happy about that. So let's take that nut off and see how filthy the oil is. That's not bad, actually. I've seen a lot worse. So if you really, it's kind of hot right now because I was driving the car around. You can see it's actually pretty clean, all things considered. Usually when it comes out black or chunky, then you know nobody's been changing the oil in quite a while, but it would appear that somebody has kept up with the oil change on this vehicle. So now we can go ahead and take the old filter, which is, let's see if we can get you up in there. Hidden up in there, of course. And then we can change oil. Well, all right, the oil was changed. It wasn't as dirty as I was expecting, to be honest, but we got another 3,500 miles before we got to do that. The next thing I keep forgetting, every single time I look under the hood of this car, I go, what is this thing? This box here is a cruise control module. See, it's got the two screws that somebody has crudely tapped into the firewall, which is terrible. And it goes all the way this way, and there's another connector on the throttle body, and there's a second cable here. It's an aftermarket cruise control system, but the thing about it is I don't see any cruise control anywhere on this vehicle. Where is it? I don't see any button for it. I don't see any. Usually right here on the steering wheel is the actual thing, but you can see behind there, there's nothing. So, where is it? It doesn't exist. So why is that thing there taking up valuable engine space? Who knows? I'm gonna rip it off. And it's gone.
And it's gone.
There it is, on the floor over there. Looks to have been put in on September 9th, 1997. I don't know if that's accurate or not. There's no part number on this thing that I can see. Well, there's kind of one there. But I could find no evidence of any cruise control button in the vehicle. This end of the wiring went into the cabin. And it didn't go to... Well, no, this went to the throttle body. This end went into the cabin, and it was just a bunch of wires. So I just cut them. They didn't go to anything. This is a weird setup here. Obviously long defunct, no longer necessary. It's a good thing we removed it. It might give us 0.01 of a mile per gallon. Probably not, though. What it was doing, I think, you can see here, was bunching up the throttle body, and it was causing a little bit of hesitancy when you would push the gas pedal. It would occasionally get a little bit sticky. So, good thing we took that out. So, like I said, I need to change that brake pedal pad. That's quite a word. And I have this brand new one here to replace it with. I actually got this from a Toyota dealer in Anaheim. It was like $8 or $9 or something. And this old one, if I can get it off, just completely rotten. See that? There's no brake pad left. The original one has worn completely through. But the pattern is the same. It appears as though the size is the same, so it should fit right on. Well, that fit absolutely perfectly, so I think that's gonna do it. Now I just need to move on to other smaller things. So it's finally time to change the AC compressor in this car. It's been a long time coming, but we've already run into our first little obstacle. Now the compressor is completely locked up solid, and I guess I should have done my research before simply disconnecting the hose. But it turns out the system was still fully charged. I thought that was nearly impossible just because of the condition of the compressor, but no. Completely connected still, and I just got sprayed with Freon. You don't want to do that if you can help it. That's a nice poisonous gas that's terrible for your lungs. So now there's Freon everywhere, and I got to get this compressor out. See how it's locked up? Completely locked up, yet still completely functioning internally anyway. I have the new compressor. We just need to disconnect the lines, and I have the vacuum machine, so before we do any of that, we're going to vacuum what might be left of the Freon, even though the atmosphere has now absorbed that. Sorry, Greta, you nasty looking creature, you. There's the compressor out. Literally 4 12mm bolts, 2 10mm bolts, and a push connector with, I believe, a single tab. and it came right out. It's locked up solid. There's the gaping hole where it once existed. We're gonna go ahead and get the new one, which is pre-oiled. But first we're gonna change the O-rings on the two little, I don't know what you wanna call it, lines. Two little O-ring lines, even though we obviously know it was holding pressure just freaking fine. So I guess the system is all good in the neighborhood. Yeah, I think I might have just shortened my life by about a decade. But, oh well. Who wants to live to be old anyway? All you do is sit in a wheelchair and go, and then tap a bell occasionally until you explode. So, let me go get the new compressor kit and the seal kit and I think I'm going to have to replace the receiver dryer anyway, which is down here. So let me go get all that. So here's a little bit of an update mid-work. We got the old top piece off the compressor here. We're putting it on the new compressor. The new compressor did come, not with a new top piece, but with a new gasket, but I've decided to go with the appropriate green gaskets. The green ones are better for air conditioning systems, and I use them in basically everything. We're going to be changing the gaskets on the lines, the receiver dryer. I also changed out the idler pulley. The new one is already in there. I didn't know if it was seized or not. It looks perfectly fine, but I'm not taking that chance to put a new one in and completely ruin it. I ended up not having the Allen key heads that you need for this. I don't know if you can see this, but for some reason I just never have a set of these. So I ended up using a pair of vice grips, and those took it off pretty easily. So we're going to go ahead and transfer the new, or I guess the old top piece to the new compressor. I did have to cut the line and crimp on the original connector because the ones they sent me for this were not even close to being correct. I don't know where they got the idea from this for, but not even close. One is round, one is rectangular. This is simple stuff day one, but that's okay. So let's get to working to put this all together as the weather turns against us as usual, and put this back in the car. So it's hard to see, but everything is back together. The new compressor is down in there in its happy little home, along with the new tensioner and belt. There's the new shiny pulley. Now we're going to have to vacuum and clear the system. So I bought this OMT, which I initially thought was DMT. Jamie, pull that up.
Oh, pull it up, Jamie.
But it was not. It was OMT, which stands for, it was on the box here, Orion Motor Tech. It was like $100. Whether or not it's going to work is a completely different matter altogether. But we're going to set this up now and see if I can vacuum the system and maybe get this working today. All right, here we are vacuuming the system. You can't tell me that doesn't look like DMT, but whatever. So here we are. There's the pump functioning. It's connected to the high and low pressure sides. We are already at the -1. It starts off at the 0, and the more that you pull it down, the more the number will come down to atmosphere. I believe that's what it's called. And this thing's calling me a retard. How nice. It's accurate though, so I can't get mad. All we're gonna do is vacuum the system. We aren't gonna fill it using this device. It's a little windy, so I apologize. We're gonna fill it using the old school method of the can that goes to the low side port. I like that method better. I know some people are gonna not agree with me there, but I've had great success doing that. I've had a couple of mess ups using these in the past. For $100, this machine is awesome. It's a 4 CFM 1/3 horsepower single stage vacuum pump by OMT. And it seems to be doing its job just fine. The cord, of course, has to be plugged in, and it's plugged in all the way over there. I had to read through this little manual before I started anything up, make sure I wasn't screwing the whole process up. But for the price, even if it works one time, it's better than paying them to do it. It only came with 1 serving of vacuum pump oil. So basically, every time you hear that noise, that's because it's sucking something out of the system. Whether it be old Freon or chunks of metal, I don't know. We're gonna find out though. And you do have to fill the system right here with the appropriate oil before you use it. People recommend an hour of this. I'm going to do 30 minutes because I think that's a better approach. I don't have an hour, so I've always, I've done as little as 10 minutes and had it work just fine. But for the sake of transparency, 35 minutes is what we're going to be giving it. So everything's hooked up. Let's hope I get some cold AC by the end of today, because I got to be somewhere in about 2-3 hours, and I would like to use the air conditioning on my way there. Now that I've changed the AC compressor, there's one thing else I would like to do, and that's degrease the entire motor. I've already sprayed it down and blocked off the distributor cap, the alternator, the fuse box, and various other sensitive components. What I'm going to do now is completely spray it down with high pressure water to avoid electrical components. That way when I go to clean the valve cover and, you know, put a new valve cover gasket on it, I can maybe paint it at the same time. But we'll let this sit for about 5 minutes and then do the washing.
3 weeks later.
So I've come out here and found this Toyota Corolla LE out here in the junkyard. And I walked over here and my, what do we have? Oh, baby. Look at that. It's just sitting here. Oh, with the screws in it?
With the chicken strips.
Oh, no way. Oh, you know how rare these are. You can't even find these if you wanted to, okay? This is coming with me. We needed a cooling fan for the Corolla wagon and some other various little thingies. But this poor car has suffered dramatically, it looks like. But that's okay. It has suffered to bring me delicious parts, and there's nothing wrong with that. But damn, this thing is clean. I'm gonna get this cup holder because look at that. You don't ever find that, ever. I might try if I can to get those handles down there because those are nice. I can't believe it. 231,000 miles, but you'd never know. Somebody was in the know about taking care of these vehicles. I mean, look how clean that dome light is. It's too bad this is brown, or I would have taken this too. I need the gray one, but we are definitely going to take this. What a little score today. Let's see if these still hold themselves in place. Wow, those still hold themselves in place. This one's a little loose, but the original stereo is in it, minus the knob, of course. Quite an impact here, and it looks like the driver would have been perfectly safe. So not only are these reliable little cars, but they're safe little cars, considering the amount of damage. But anyway, let's get to pulling this part out. So another triviality, but something that just kind of bothers me. It has a very nice cup holder, but it does not stick in. This bothers me greatly. This one does, and it was only $8 from the junkyard, so we got to take all of this apart so that I can replace this. Probably keep this as a spare or something. Yes, the parking brake is on, and then we're going to get to replacing this one, which is, you know, broken off at this end. Slightly different color, but at least everything will work on it. So there's the old cup holder removed. Probably hadn't ever been removed. Look at that layer of dust and filth. I'll clean that off. But it looks really good up in there, actually. No corrosion. Everything's normal. The relay's where it's supposed to be. I do see something unusual. Which, what the hell? You see that? I have to address that. That looks like an old school GPS tracking device that probably is no longer functioning. But I'll rip that out just to be safe. But anyway, let's put this new cup holder in. All right, it's time for the big reveal. Da 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 da. Look at that. I noticed that this one doesn't have a little line down the center of it. And this one does. Not sure if that means anything, but who cares? Boop. Now I can finally drive around with that in. I don't like it being out all the time because it rattles just slightly. Speaking of rattling, this door has to come off today. Whoa, let's get you in picture there. The whole door has to come off today because when I'm at an idle, something right here is rattling inside the door incessantly, especially when I turn the bass up on the stereo, and it is infuriating. So that's got to come off. We've got to take this off. And then that's actually nearing completion for this project. As you can see, I did change that brake pedal down there. So we are just about ready to finish this little car up and call it a day. And then we can finally move on to completely finishing that Corolla and doing some much needed work to this Corolla. And Corolla, blah, blah, blah. Let's get going. So there's the old one out. Here is the new one. You can tell this vehicle has lived a full life of filth and debauchery. So I'm going to go ahead and clean that up and then throw the new one, slightly different color, in. I should be able to just show you right now and plop it down. See how it's a slightly different color? Who cares? You can actually see this one's a little more brown. This one's a little grayer. I wish. I mean, it does have a functioning top piece that I could swap over, but the likelihood of me breaking that, see? That sensitive little piece there, which it looks like actually somebody's already fixed now that I'm looking at this. See those 3 screws there? Let me see. Yeah, those do not look original. So let's best leave well enough alone, you know? Let the sleeping dogs lie. Don't poke the bear and all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and bolt this back down. So with that center console installed, that finishes the interior of this car. Everything works in it now. Everything is there. It's very clean. It smells very nice in here. I've put a giant subwoofer in the back seat, along with some of my old clothes. But you can see it is very nice in here now. Absolutely everything works. Even the door panel, super clean, functioning. I mean, just look at this car. If you want to see how it started out, you can go ahead and watch the first video. It did not come to me in this condition, that's for sure. Let's go to the front and take a look at that. You can see I did put the new rims and tires on it that I got with that Corolla wagon. And I went ahead and put a brand new set, whole set, all 4 tires of Mastercrafts. These are 14s, I believe. Trying to look for a size. Yeah, 185, 65, 14. Brand new all the way around. Those in and of themselves were about $550, not to include the alignment, the balancing, the tweaks that the suspension needed, but she drives absolutely smooth as can be now. So that is going to finish this car. I'm going to go ahead and put up a list, probably right here, of what it costs to put this car back into this nearly perfect condition. It was not cheap. This started out as I'm just going to do a cheap little, drive around car. And as I checked the compression, drove the car, and realized that it was in very, very worthy condition of being restored, I kind of went a little bit off the rails, okay? So didn't expect that, but that happens sometimes around here. Now that this car is finished, we're actually going to start focusing on these two and another project I have coming up. I keep alluding to this project in previous videos, but it's going to be a big one. It's going to cost me lots and lots of money and time. And the space needed is going to be massive. You can multiply the space needed times 10. So that's going to do it for this video. I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate you guys watching till the end and seeing how she came out. Tara, the Forgotten Corolla, is now Tara, the Champion Corolla. Isn't she beautiful? And there's a lot more to do, but that's going to be it for this video. So as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.